Hey, what's up? It is Breyonna, and today we're going to be sitting down and testing out another palette from Juvias Place, and that is the Nubian Glow. I honestly went a little bit ham over on their website the other day because honestly they had such a good sale running, like I could not pass it up. Because Juvias Place is already a really affordable brand, but when they have a sale running, especially like a 30 or a 50% off, you literally get a steal. But if you haven't seen this palette yet, it is literally so beautiful. It's kind of like a gold color story, but it's just so different. Because normally when you see a gold color story, it has a lot of brown and like neutrals in it with like shimmery golds, whereas this one has like this yellow tone to it. It's just really different. And you guys know I am a sucker for unique color stories. Like when I saw this one, I was like, okay, this is going to be added to my cart right away. But before we jump into testing out this palette, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on my Instagram page or my TikTok, it is at Breyonna as well. So I did these little like space ones today, and I'm kind of low-key obsessed with them. Like, I think they turned out so fun, and I'm always one of those people, I have a really hard time getting them even, and I think these are about as even as I can get them. But the first thing that we are going to be doing today is priming our eyelids just to give a really good base for those shadows. And again, I'm just going to be using my Anastasia eye primer. I mean, if you're not new to my channel, you guys know how obsessed I am with this stuff. But I'm just going to apply a little bit to the back of my hand and really like jam this tube in because I am running low. And then I'm just going to take this like fluffier brush from Moda and then apply this all over my eyelid, doing a stippling motion up to my brow. So we are going to be doing things different today because I do want to do a different type of eye shape, and I think it's going to look really cool with this color story. But the first shade we are going to be going in with is this deepest matte shade right here. And I know this is going to look really weird, but I'm just going to be taking it on this little Morphe pencil brush. It is an M431. And I'm going to be doing a winged liner kind of with it. And then bringing it up to my brow. Again, we will be blending this out in a second. I just want to get the framework down. And then I'm also going to kind of like bring it up a little bit above my natural crease. But dang, like this shade is really, really pigmented. I don't know why I was expecting it to be a little bit more on the buildable side, but it is like super intense. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that color and add it to the inner third of my crease. And I'm just going to be leaving this center third blank. I know it's going to look really weird right now, but trust me, it's going to look so cool in the end. And then I'm just going to kind of like buff out these edges just a little bit by doing these little circular motions. And then using that same brush, I'm just going to kind of like deepen things up a little bit too. This shade's really pretty. It's kind of like an orange. Again, I'm kind of trying to focus this color more in my crease right away when I first apply it, and then buff it outwards. But again, it's blending out really nice, and it's also really pigmented. Like, honestly, you wouldn't even have to build up this shade if you didn't want to. So once you have the shape where you want it, I'm just going to go in with a little bit more on this little shader brush from Anastasia. It is an A13. And I'm just going to fill in the little triangle that we made. So in the outer third of my lid. Again, I am leaving the center blank. And then I'm just going to take a little bit more and then do the exact same thing on the inner third. And then once you have that done, now we're just going to be going in with the lightest matte shade in the palette. It's kind of like a yellowy color. I really wish that this palette had names, so it would make it so much easier to do a tutorial with. But I'm just going to be taking it on this teeny tiny little Morphe blending brush. It doesn't have a name on it, but it kind of looks like an M507. And I'm just going to be taking a little bit and then fluffing out the edges a little bit further. So I'm applying it right on that edge and then buffing it out. So we want to make sure everything is like super blended with this look. And I'm also going to be blowing it out really far too because, I don't know, I think it's going to look really cool. But again, like this shade is really pigmented too. I mean, for a one dib, like look at that right there. Super beautiful. I'm also going to take a little bit underneath this wing situation that we did. I'm honestly just going to be hitting all the edges. I'm trying to figure out which shimmer I want to go in with because this one right here is a little bit more of like a true gold, and then the other one is a green gold, but I'm kind of vibing with the green one, so I think we're going to go in with that one instead. And I'm just going to be taking it on this little shader brush. And then using this brush dampen, I'm just going to be applying it on the edge of that darker matte shade on my lid. So kind of like right in there, and I'm leaving a little bit of that matte right here too. I'm not doing like the full like outer third of my lid. So far though, that's a really pretty color. It's not like super intense right away, so let's do a second layer. Oh yeah. So this one definitely needs 2 layers if you want it like super amplified. Again, it's like pretty and cute right away, but the second layer really does it magic. And then I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Again, I am leaving the center blank for right now. And you know what, we're going to kind of like bring up this shimmer too, kind of like into our crease. I know this look looks really funky right now, but I think it's going to turn out so cool in the end. It's just one of those ones where you have to trust the process with it. I gotta say though, I was expecting the shimmer to look so different when applied, because I swatched it and it looked really green. Like it was like a gold with a ton of green reflect to it. But when applied, I don't really see the green all that much. It definitely looks like a mid-tone gold. You know, we're gonna go in with our finger and see if that makes a difference, because I just want like that little hint of green. Like I just thought it was so pretty. Yeah, even with my finger, I don't really see it. I see it like a little bit more, but when swatched, it just, I don't know, it just looks completely different. That's why I tell you guys, do not trust swatches. Swatches will give you an idea of what it'll look like, but something can swatch really well and apply really crappy, so you have to be really careful about it. So now we're just going to be going in the lightest shimmer shade out of the palette, and this one to me kind of looks like a really light yellow gold. But I'm just going to be taking it in the center of my lid using a dampened shader brush. And I'm also going to bring it like the full way up too, even up into the crease between the 2 matte shades. Like it's going to look like a strip until we kind of like blend it out a little bit. But so far though, that's a really pretty color, and also I think it'd make a really good highlighter. And I'm just kind of like taking whatever's left on my brush and kind of like feathering it into the sides. Just a little bit. I'm not going too far. I'm just doing like this little tapping motion. But I mean like, for this type of color, like she's really cute. This definitely reminds me of all of the other shimmers that I really like from Juvia's Place. Like it is super crazy blinding and sparkly. And since I'm really nosy, I am going to do a second layer, but I'm going to try to keep it more like on the lid. Because I don't want it like super blinding next to those 2 mattes. I think it might look a little weird. Oh yeah, like again, like 2 layers really brings it like to a whole other level. So if you're not into pressed glitter, you could definitely leave this look where it is right now, but you guys know me, I do love a good pressed glitter moment, so we're going to be going in with that shade next. And I really hope that this one is more sparkly than the one in the Nubian Royals, because I mean like that one's fine and all, but it's not a wow, and I'm really hoping that this one has a little bit more of like that wow factor that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to be taking my finger and applying it right on top of that shimmer shade that we just used. Again, I'm kind of like focusing it more on my lid and then feathering it up with whatever's left. This one to me looks more sparkly than the one in the Nubian Royal palette, but again, it is a very finely milled shimmer. It's not like super crazy reflective. Like it has like more oomph to it than the other palette does, but again, it doesn't have like that like super like chunky look to it. Which I mean, again, isn't a bad thing, but usually when I go in with a pressed glitter, I want it to be like chunky and really sparkly and shiny. Whereas again, this one applies more like a really intense shimmer. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this look is turning out really spicy and fun. I don't really do this shape all that much, but I think I want to start experimenting more with it because I think it's turning out really cool here. But off camera though, I am going to like clean things up a little bit because I do have a little bit of fallout on my face from some of those shimmer shades. And I'm also going to, you know, apply like my complexion products, liner, lashes, lipstick, all of that good stuff. And then afterwards, I'll be right back to finish up the look. So here's am I right now after doing that all off camera, and also I applied this matte yellow shade, the lightest one, as a blush today, and oh my gosh, it is so pretty. If you've been wanting to try out a yellow blush, this shade is literally perfect for it. But now we're going to start working on the lower lash line, and what I'm going to do is mix that deeper matte shade in with the lighter one and do like a 1-to-1 ratio. And I'm just taking it on this little Morphe M431 pencil brush. It's the first brush that we use because why dirty more brushes than you have to? But I'm just running it right underneath the lower lash line and then attaching it with this outer portion right here. Okay, that was literally like the perfect shade for the lower lash line because I didn't want something like too dark and I didn't want something too light. And mixing the two is just the absolute perfect shade we could have gotten. So once you have that where you want it to be, now we're going to be doing my absolute favorite part, which you guys know is the inner corner highlight, because I'm a little too obsessed with a blending inner corner. Like, I feel like it just brings a look to a whole other level. But we're just going to go back in with the palette and then go in with that white gold shade. And I'm just going to be taking it on this brush from ColourPop. It is an E28. And I'm just going to be like super like heavily packing it right here. Oh yeah. She's blinding, like super, super blinding. Again, like this shade would make a really bomb highlighter too. I'm also going to take just a teeny bit of that pressed glitter and apply it to the center of the lower lash line, just like a little bit. Ooh, got some in my eye. But I just want to match like the upper portion that we have going on, just a little bit. Like again, it has some shine to it. It just, I don't know. Like when I think of a pressed glitter, I want it like to be like super reflective and like just really bring a look to a whole other level. And unfortunately, this one just doesn't. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am so obsessed with how this look turned out. It probably is actually like a top 10 favorite out of all the looks I have ever done. Like I just love like the yellow eyeshadow moment with the yellow blush. Like I think they pair so beautifully together. So let's go over all of the nitty-gritty details with this palette, and let's talk about the matte formula first. And the mattes in here are so pigmented to the point you don't even have to build them up if you don't want to. And with them being so pigmented, they literally blend out like butter. Like you apply them, do a couple of circular motions, and they're like instantly blended. So if you're a beginner, you're not going to struggle with the formula of these. As for the shimmers in this palette, I used 2 out of 3 shades. This first one, this kind of like greenish gold one, when I first initially swatched it, it looked so pretty. It was like this really pretty gold that had like this green reflect mixed in. Like it just looked really unique. But when I applied it with a brush, it really honestly wasn't like super like pow in your face, and also didn't have that green effect to it either. I don't know what it is about this shade, but it just didn't really apply that well with a brush. But when I went in with my finger, it applied way more metallic and sparkly, and it also gave me a little bit more of that green shimmer that I was looking for. I will warn you though, this shade is very deceiving because again, when you apply it to the back of your hand and swatch it, it is like this really pretty metallic gold with green shifts in it. And then when you go to apply it, whether that is with a brush or your finger, it applies completely different. As for the other shimmer in the palette, this really light one, oh my gosh, like this shade is so pretty and so blinding, and also the formula is just super creamy. Again, like this shade would even make an amazing highlighter. I mean, like look at that. It's just absolutely stunning. As for the pressed glitter in this palette, honestly, it has such an amazing formula to it because when you apply it, it is not sticky, it is not goopy, it does not feel scratchy on the eyes, and also it does not crumble everywhere. But unfortunately, this pressed glitter to me almost looks more like a metallic shadow rather than a pressed glitter. Because there's just not a lot of wow factor to it because it is such a finely milled glitter. And again, like there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just when I think of a pressed glitter, I think of something that is like super extra and something that will just really elevate your look to a whole new level. And unfortunately, this one just doesn't do that for me. So when it comes down to it, would I recommend the Nubian Glow palette to you guys? And honestly, if you're looking for a really fun and unique palette, you know, something to spice up your collection, or if you're wanting to experiment more with yellow, I think this palette is going to be perfect for you. Because again, like this palette is really affordable and it just has a really unique vibe to it. And honestly, this palette is worth getting alone just for this matte yellow shade right here, especially if you've been wanting to try out yellow blush. Because again, it is so hard to find a nice yellow blush shade that isn't too bright or too orange, and this one is literally the perfect shade. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this monochromatic vibe that we have going on, and also let me know what you think about this palette. But as always though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on my Instagram page or my TikTok, it is at Breyonna as well. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!